and welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. This is Ingrid, your host, and I have with me Elmo the Conservative. How are you, Elmo?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well and fine. Hope
Good.
everybody out there is doing good. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Definitely a busy week.
Yes, yes, yeah. It doesn't seem to let up. Summer
No, it does
vacation is
not.
over.
Yeah,
You know,
right. Summer's over. Thankfully.
workloads and business and busyness is picking up.
Exactly. Fall is here. Thankfully.
Before we jump in, we're going to have a quick word. This episode is sponsored by Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you go to Amazon.com and you type in the word El Morris, you get three or four of my books that pop up. It's Elmo, double RIS. That's all you got to do. There's only 14 of us in America, but it's only one on Amazon. So just do a search on my first name, and there's books of different varieties. And then you go to Barnes and Noble, and you do a search on my first name, and you get three or four more books. Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Kobo. So these are not hard copies. This is ebooks. So you download it onto your Kindle or your Kindle Fire on Amazon or on Barnes and Noble. You download to your Nook, which I believe is the Barnes and Noble version of the Kindle. Kobo,
Yes.
they're in their own world, but you can go there and they'll let you know how you can get it. So thank you, Barnes and Noble and Amazon, for sponsoring me. And now on with the show. Here we go.
Here we go.
So yeah,
Uh-huh.
what we're gonna start off with?
We're going to start off with Desantis and Martha's Vineyard. There's a lot of energy around that. Folks who didn't hear, who might not have heard, DeSantis sent around, I want to say 50 illegal aliens up to Martha's Vineyard. And Martha's Vineyard is, oh goodness, it is where folks like the Obamas, I don't know if the Clintons live up there or not, but it's
Spike
really,
Lee.
really high dollar area
Yeah.
that a lot of notables, shall we say, go to. And that's where they decide to, quote unquote, for the Obamas, retire to or live up in Martha's Vineyard. And usually the ones up in Martha's Vineyard, they are for sanctuary cities and, a pathway to citizenship and our legal immigration or our immigration system is broken, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
that gives you an idea about Martha's Vineyard. So,
Yeah, so this is basically everybody knows about the border crisis and the influx of illegal aliens. I have a statistic that I got within the last week. It said every day, 8,000 migrants cross the border. 8,000. The Democrats are in charge of the border. Kamala Harris is supposed to be in charge of it, and they welcome illegal immigrants. They're not really doing anything to stop it. Biden said that he was going to reverse everything that Trump did, including, I don't know if they're going to tear down the wall or just stop building it.
mhm.
The message from the Democrat leadership is come on in. It's okay. Come on in. Biden, he's awarding illegals $400,000 a piece. If they register, just like you file for your taxes, and you do the due diligence so that you can get your golden ticket. That's like bribery. That's paying somebody off, and then remember me when election time comes around. I'm going to set you up so that you can vote for me. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, yeah, he was. I want to say when he first got in, he was offering $450,000 person or family that was separated at the border. So that was their opportunity, I guess, to say, yes, I was separated from my family at the border and quote unquote sue the government and get $450,000.
Hmm.
So I think that went over like lead balloon. And what's going on now is that, like you said, the border czar, Kamala Harris, she's not doing anything. Nothing's being enforced, although she'll tell you the border is secure. She's lying through her teeth. The
Yeah.
border is not secure. Like I said, there are 8,000 that are getting through. They're only catching a few at a time because they're overwhelmed. For a while
Okay.
there was Title 42, and that had to do with with COVID and that sort of thing. But I think that's kind of gone away. And now I don't know the specifics of it, but I think that's kind of gone away. And now people are just flooding in and flooding in. The latest that I heard is they got 19 or caught 19 people who were on the terror watch list coming in through the southern.
Really?
Yeah, it was 19. They were on the terror watch list. So the border is definitely wide open. It's definitely fluid. I don't blame our border patrol agents because they're doing all that they can do with the resources that they have and the support they have. Um, but yeah, and also Abbott, Texas, Governor Abbott of Texas
Hmm.
sent, I want to say he sends busloads of illegal aliens to Washington, D.C.
Oh, he
Again,
did.
these
Okay.
folks said they want to be a sanctuary city. Well, here, we're going to send you the illegal aliens so they can be a sanctuary city. So the folks in DC are complaining as well.
Yeah.
So you have people in Washington, D.C., the town, the city council, and
Hmm.
you have folks in Martha's Vineyard who both yell sanctuary city, and they get the illegal aliens. And I think in the case of Martha's Vineyard, that within 24 hours, they had shipped them out and deported them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
Funny
what.
how that
So they're
works.
right talking out of both sides of your rear end. So that's what happened there, and
Talking out of both cheeks.
out of both cheeks. Um, and for folks, there's the general argument. What is it? That they just want to have a better life. Well, don't we all? I'm sure there's
Right.
6.5 other billion people on the earth who want to have a better life, but we cannot support them all, for one. Number two, we have a right to say who does and does not come into our country.
Yep.
We have that right, period. Number two. Um, and number three, there's nothing wrong with our immigration system that enforcement can't fix. People often use the argument, well, the system is broken. It's broken. It's not broken. It's just not enforced.
It's not
And
enforced.
when the law is being enforced, it's a concept called enforcement through attrition or attrition through enforcement. And what it says is, if you enforce the law, people will leave themselves.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. They'll get up. They'll go, and if they want to come in, do it the right way. And I personally know three people who are doing it the right way. They're going through the
Yeah.
process. They're having to get authorization from companies. They're having to get their green card. There is a process that they're having to go through, and they're kind of pissed off, rightfully so, that you
Yeah.
have people that are just coming in through the southern border, walking in and saying, I should have this, that, and the other. Where you have people who are in line, and these are highly skilled people. You have people who are waiting in line, doing it the right way, and that sort of thing. So I don't want to hear from anybody that wants to comment, oh, they just want a better life. Well, doesn't everybody? One. And number two, if you want to come in, do it the right way. Because as soon as somebody steps over our boundaries or our border against our immigration laws, they've broken the law. They're a
Right.
lawbreaker. They're a criminal. Period.
Right.
I don't care if they're mowing your lawn or whatever. If they're here illegally, they're a lawbreaker. So, you know, I don't have sympathy for it. I just don't. It's enough is enough.
You
And
don't even have to go around the world or go to Russia. You could just try to sneak into Mexico and see what happens to you.
right, right, exactly. And I think I want to say it's Venezuela, if I'm not mistaken. They're emptying their jails, and people are coming up through the
Yeah.
southern border to the U.S. So they're emptying their prisons and letting prisoners out, and folks are traveling up here into the United States. So it's got to stop. It has got
No,
to stop.
you said
No,
something about some terrorist suspects that were nabbed at the border.
yeah,
I'm dying to hear what Jean Pierre says about that. I want to
right.
hear what her commentary is
Mhm.
about that because they're so welcoming of people coming. So yes, you're right. They want people to come here for a better life and to come here illegally, but they're
Mhm.
not calling them illegal aliens. They're not calling them illegal immigrants. They're calling them migrants,
Yes, yeah,
which makes it sound like a worker that just traveled and migrated
right.
instead of calling it what it is. So,
Exactly.
okay, it's America. It doesn't matter then. It should matter to you what state or what city they're in. As long as they come to America, that's fine. So you should be okay with taking them. And there were some people who were sent to Kamala Harris's house.
Yes. There
I
were.
saw a video of 50 or 60 people just standing outside, wandering around on the grass, wearing masks. You know, they 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 saw Biden wearing a mask so much, they saw how bad it is. They said, "Well, we're ready to go. We got our bags packed. We got everything we need. We got our mask on. We're ready to go." So
Mhm.
they dropped them off there. Taking them to her house. I honestly don't know how I feel about that part of it, but I am
Mhm.
okay with them being bussed out of out of Florida because any illegal that comes over here that is a threat to the rest of us or not going to pay taxes or whatever it is, they're going to live in one of the states in America. More than likely, they're going to be in the first state they get to, which is going to be Florida, Texas. I think
Okay.
New Mexico is on the border, but so that's where they're going to be. Democrats are complaining about DeSantis doing this. Well, he could have just as easily, maybe more easily, turned them around and sent them back out of the country. He could have done that, but you don't want him to do that.
Mhm.
You don't want him to do that. You want him to welcome
Sure.
people. What it was, but Charlemagne the God, and there was a panel of people talking about this, and it looked like it was a comedy show. They got a comedy show. I mean, you're gonna make fun of stuff. Don't let it be anything that's a real issue or something that's serious. So everybody on the panel was black, okay? And
Okay.
this woman that was on the panel, she said, "Well, of course DeSantis is going to send people up north because he doesn't want the browning of America to come into the state and for there to be an influx of he's a governor of Florida, okay? It's a lot of Spanish people there as well as black people and other people of
Mhm.
color.
Mhm.
I think it was that way when he got in office.
Yeah.
He's not against that. Okay, anybody that believes that, show me something that's intentional, that's specific, that's directed at people of color in Florida to try to discourage or stop them from populating,
Mhm.
try to stop them from populating or increasing in number. And
Yeah.
that's a, you know,
And
it was just a stupid thing for her to say that.
and you can tell it came from a Democrat because they think you think according to skin color.
Yeah,
That's how I believe you think. So obviously it came from a Democrat. Uh,
yeah.
that's what they all this identity politics. But yeah, they would think it's because you're black or because you're Latino or because you're Hispanic or because you're Asian or whatever. Then that's why you should vote for them because of the stupid identity politics because they believe that's all that you're capable of thinking of is according to your skin color. So heaven forbid you should have an individual thought of your own. So
So I would say to her, if that's true, if that's true, and that's the reason why they're being sent out of Florida, then these other destinations like Martha's Vineyard, Pennsylvania, Kamala's house, they can't send them away either. They
yeah.
can't send away any brown people. How about that? Let's let the white illegals stay, and they can hang out at her house or hang out at Martha's Vineyard. Homeless people, they'll throw out a picnic blanket and just pitch a tent and just camp right there.
Mhm.
So if you want to say that, if you really believe that, then tell these sanctuary states or sanctuary cities that they have to keep them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and well, the thing is, and they shouldn't be. What's ironic is you have the sanctuary cities, and we have some here in Georgia, or counties. I think they're counties here in Georgia,
Mhm.
and sanctuary cities across the nation. If you look, those places will be asking for, if they have not already, will be asking for more money from the federal government to
Right, of
take care
course.
of their whatever their regular things. So it shouldn't be. Just look at California for example. I think LA is a sanctuary city. I know
Mm.
California is basically a sanctuary state. They're letting them in. They're giving them health care. In New York, they're letting them vote, even though they're not citizens. They can vote in local elections. So my thing is, I think something should be done at the federal level to stop
Mhm.
that, or like if they're asking for money at the federal level because they're defying federal law, then no, you're not going to get any extra money. You figure it out. And it's time for the people in these places to stand up and say something.
Yeah.
Everybody cannot fight on every front. So, if you're in a blue sanctuary city, and I say blue being Democrat run,
Hmm.
sanctuary city or sanctuary county or sanctuary state or whatever, and you don't like it, either decide that you're going to start talking to your politicians and giving them what for, or move. I mean, it's ridiculous because the thing is, let me flip this over. If you start, what if we decided not to pay our taxes? The IRS would come after us
Right.
with reckless abandon and try to take everything we have. But yet and still, you have the illegal, you have the immigration law, and it's not being enforced. So it doesn't make sense. You can't enforce
Hmm.
one law and not enforce the other. It
Right.
just it doesn't make sense.
I
So
get to keep 70% of my check, but they get to keep 100% of their pay.
there you go. And the 30% that you're giving up goes to support them in one way or another,
Yeah.
either
Yeah. That's
schools,
what
infrastructure, or whatever.
more federal funding that's needed by different states that translates to our money,
That's it.
us paying for it.
That's it.
So LA has been called Hele, has been called La La Land, and now Tent City.
Yep, it is. And I
Seven
think
70,000 homeless people.
easy. And I want to say it's in either Seattle, I think it's Seattle, but maybe Portland, where it's so bad that you have the tent cities along the sidewalks where people
Yeah.
are walking and in front of people's homes and that sort of thing. So it's making neighborhoods unsafe. Heaven forbid if you're a single lady and you're in a
Yeah.
home or in a neighborhood and you have to walk by all these tent cities to get to your home.
Right.
That makes no sense. But that's what these places, these sanctuary cities, and some of these blue run places have. That's what it turns into. So yeah, it might sound good on paper, but when it comes down to it, and when it's actually put into practice, it turns dangerous for the rest of the citizens in the area. So
Let me ask you a question at the same time, talk through this.
mhm.
And when you mention that scenario with the single woman that's walking home at night and there's tents on her block or in front of her house, if a woman is a victim of a crime, the criminal is an illegal alien,
Mhm.
and it could be against a woman or a man or whoever.
Yeah.
The police arrest that illegal person, take them to the police station, and then they fingerprint them, and their prints aren't coming up. I'm just guessing
Right.
because there's no birth certificate for you to match them to. There's no system that
Right.
they have imprinted into.
Right. Here in the U.S., no.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So then what do you do with that person? They really don't have an identity because they don't have a social security number.
Well, I think if that happens, they take them in, and I think in some cases they would actually serve their time, but in other cases they are to be deported, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if the
Should be.
place doesn't share, I don't know, I can't remember specifically, but if they don't share if the jail or whatever doesn't share the immigration status with the federal folks, then the federal folks don't know to come pick them up or go through their processes. So
Yeah.
when they say, we don't share our information with about, or we don't share our the immigration status with the federal people don't know to come get the person and pick them up or do whatever.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. And secondly, I don't know if the local people were even asking about the federal status, or I'm sorry, about the immigration status of that person. So if no one is getting the information, asking or anything, then the processes that are supposed to take place don't, because
Sure.
no one knows and no one's asked the question. And that's what a lot of these sanctuary cities and places do. They say, we're not asking for immigration status, and or we're not sharing it with the federal, with ICE, with those folks who would come and take it from there. They're not sharing it. So if someone gets hurt or assaulted, if they catch the person, then the person, I guess, goes to jail, and I don't know what really happens after that if they catch the person. Now, in a lot of cases, they don't catch the person. Nothing's done. That person's just a victim, and no one's caught for it. So that's a problem.
Let me mention real quick a story. I went to this Mexican restaurant that's a few blocks away from me, and I wanted to get a menu. So I went to the door. They were already closed, but they let me in. They didn't have any hard copies, so they gave me a business card. They said you can go online and see the menu. The name of the restaurant, Las Cuatro Milpas. I get home, I look at the business card,
Hmm.
and their slogan, what it says at the bottom, is "Make tacos, not walls."
Oh boy. Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow.
So it's like, yeah, let's make tacos. America loves Mexican food. You can come here, start a Mexican restaurant, make more money than you would ever make in Tijuana or Mexico City. Yes, come here. We embrace your culture. We like a mix of America. But they're saying to not make a walls. They have these holes in the wall. They have these openings in the fence called immigration offices. That's
Mhm.
where you need to come through.
That's
That's
it.
where you need to come through.
That's-
And then also, I think you were alluding to this a little earlier. We don't have to let anybody in here.
Right.
We don't owe planet Earth nothing.
Hmm.
We don't have to let anyone in here. With the problem that it is, like I was saying earlier, the statistic 8,000 people a day, we could turn off the faucet and totally stop it until we get it under control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's why does the government send a message outside the country saying when you do this, you keep doing this, we're gonna completely cut it off for 5 years and nobody's gonna get in. Listen, when the caravan was threatening to rush the border,
Yeah.
and President Trump said you might get shot if you do that. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally, especially you're standing, you're towing the line with servicemen, officers that are clearly armed, and you want to try to rush because there's 10,000 of you, and you're saying they might get some of us, but they can't get all of us. Come on, let's go. Okay. Yeah, and then also the people that you say three people who are immigrants coming here as citizens the right way, doing the right thing, regardless of what country they're from.
Hmm.
Hispanics in America who are citizens is the number one group of people that are against illegal immigrants.
Hmm.
That's a great poster boy for this. The Democrats aren't going to let them get up and speak at the Democrat convention.
Right.
They're not going to do that. They're going to cancel themselves out.
That's
So let's roll into here in Georgia. The famous athlete Herschel Walker is running for Congress, and he's running against Raphael Warnock. This is Warnock's second time running. They're supposed to have a debate next month in October.
hmm
So Warnock, he says, I don't want to debate Walker unless he does not receive his questions in advance. I
Okay.
don't, whatever the topics are that we're going to debate, I want him to receive them right before the debate begins, or I don't want to debate him.
So is Warnock going to receive the questions in advance prior to, not immediately prior to, but prior to the debate? So
He would
Warnock
not
is going
receive them either in
to.
advance. They would both get them at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
To me, this is kind of like Floyd Mayweather before a fight going, well, I don't want to fight you unless you get tested for viruses. Let's check your blood to see if you're using steroids. Like everything had to be on his conditions. There can be no rematch if I win. If I lose, then there has to be a rematch. He started writing his own ticket. So I'm just saying, like, if Warnock has confidence in himself, he truly believes that he is the best candidate. He should not be threatened or intimidated by Herschel Walker being prepared.
Right. Very true. Very true. That's interesting that he's saying no one can get the questions prior to.
And
Yeah.
let's say, he has reason to believe that Herschel isn't competent enough or savvy enough to act on his feet,
Yeah.
act on his feet, spur of the moment, be able to come with a good response off the top of his head.
Yeah. Think on
Okay,
his feet.
whether he does or not, if you just look at the answers and what they say, dude, you have a chance to say whatever you want to say. You know how they do with debates. They start with one person and they let another person, they
Right.
let the opponent have 1 minute for a rebuttal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that you're more articulate, more intelligent, and you can handle the issues better, and you have it's the same advantage, it's equal. Well, you have 3 days, 4 days, a week, or whatever to develop your answer, what you're going to say. When people look at your answers side by side on paper, if you believe that you can beat him in a debate, it shouldn't matter if he gets the questions in advance or not.
It shouldn't. And I think the problem is Warnock has a record to run on. I think that is the problem because, like you said, it's a debate. What really are you going to ask about that hasn't
Oh, I see.
been bantered about? It just doesn't make sense. You're going to ask about the economy. You're going to ask about inflation.
Right.
What else? You're going to ask about infrastructure and
That's
immigration.
about domestic abuse, how
Yeah.
people treat their wives.
Right, right. You're going to ask about pro-life, Roe v. Wade. You're going to ask about these kinds of things. So Warnock has a record to run on, and I I would think he doesn't care when the questions are asked, or even what questions are asked, or how soon the questions are gotten to your opponent. It doesn't matter. It's like your record is out there. So yeah, and I don't understand why a debate, I guess a committee, I guess that's who decides this. I don't understand why they would kowtow to his request. If it's a debate, then the debate committee would say, we're going to handle this the way either you show up or you don't show up, but this is how we're going to handle this. And if you don't want to play by the rules, then you're not going to be there. I mean, period. So
And I
I
don't know,
don't get
honestly, don't know if they're gonna grant his request or kowtow to what he wants. But they absolutely should not.
no, no.
Now,
Yeah,
if
they're
if
the neutral party.
if Walker agrees, if he agrees to it and he says yes, I'll do it. Okay, let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go at it.
But I
That's what
don't
I
think
say.
Warnock should have the authority or whatever to say, well, this is how it should be. No,
Right.
no,
Right.
it's just not. That's no.
Yeah,
You're
and I
not
mean,
running.
I'm a person. I'm one of these voters that focuses on the issues.
Hmm.
I never want to see anything bad in anyone's personal life.
Right.
But the Democrats don't have a problem with it. Obviously, how they cover up crack smoking and alcohol abuse and fornication and all kind of stuff.
Right.
They obviously don't have a problem with it. I care and I'm more concerned with the issues. With that said,
Hmm.
it could halfway through get nasty and veer off the road of the issues and get into, hey, you rode over your wife's foot with your car. Yeah, but I didn't put a gun to her head. Well, I didn't pull the trigger. And then they,
Yeah. Right.
this turns
And
into
we
a
go there.
throw it, slinging that mud.
Right, right. And this, you're gonna have to pardon my French here, but going with what you
Speaking my,
said, I'm saying Florida is one line of coke atop a gay hooker's ass away from being a very bad state, a very bad
Lord.
state. I mean, Andrew Gillum, thing is, he was caught in a hotel room with a gay hooker with cocaine, and he's
Oh,
supposedly
wow. I
has
didn't
a
know about
wife and children. There are pictures. They're pictures. So,
Wow.
you want to go down that personal path,
Yeah,
then,
right.
let's go. Let's go. So I don't think that that would be wise for Warnock to do that at all. And one thing I can say about Herschel, I appreciate he's been transparent about that.
Yeah.
And for those of us that were or in Georgia, I'm obviously from Georgia, but for those of us that were in Georgia, and while he was going through the UGA, the football, he was the
Mhm.
football star, he was the, Herschel Walker, I can understand how after all of that, because he's put up on the pedestal. After all of that, then you have to come down. You have to kind of figure out who you are aside from all of that, because it was football his not his whole life, but the first part of his life was it was football. It
Oh
was
yeah.
UGA, and UGA football down here is a big
Oh
thing,
yeah. Right.
so but I appreciate that he's been transparent with some of the issues that he's gone through, and that sort of thing that Warnock has not been transparent about. Like you said, he's a fornicator. He's supposedly a pastor, but he's okay with abortion. So it's like, if you're gonna go there, let's go. Let's hop on a ride.
The moderators, some of them are not, they're only not handling the questions well, but they're trying to stop and quiet the person based on their answer, or they're just not fair with giving one person more time than another. So that's a big deal also.
Yeah.
I think in a debate, each each candidate should be able to ask the other person a question directly, give them one question to ask them. And I'm telling you, the number one question that if I was Walker, I would ask Warnock is, you being a pastor, how are you okay with abortion? Go.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's how they did. I think that was the format of was it the Lincoln Douglas debate? I want to say that was the format for Lincoln Douglas debate. His opponent, they were debating back and forth, and I think the debate lasted about an hour or so. But it was like you said, they're asking each other questions instead of somebody in the middle playing moderator and playing, especially at this point, playing neutral. And
Right.
I don't even think they do presidential debates anymore. I think that committee has been disbanded because of, I want to say, the 2016 2016, it was 2016, I think 2016 fiasco.
What happened?
Trump in there. They were just, they were biased. They were jumping all over him. They were that sort of thing. So I don't know if they even are going to do that anymore. Presidential debates.
Oh, I
So
mean, with Biden and Trump in 2020, they had they were supposed to have three debates, but
mhm.
didn't Trump
One
got
got canceled.
COVID,
I don't.
so he missed one of them.
I think,
I think.
yeah, one got canceled.
Right,
But
right, right.
yeah, but I think they
It
had
was
debates like. Go ahead.
no, just right after the debate. There was one of the first debates. Trump was sniffing like during the debate, and then 1 or 2 days after the debate, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. I think there was supposed to be a town hall debate also, and
So
that's the one that got canceled. You
gotcha. And I know the stations like the CNNs and ABCs and that sort of thing, they do those things. But in
Yeah.
terms of there was a presidential debate for
Okay.
years, I think. But I don't know, I think it's gone away the covered wagon because of all the issues and that sort of thing that they've had.
Right. I want to mention something that's going on in Great Britain as far as comedy goes. So you got Ricky Gervais, you got
Yeah,
Russell
Russell Brand. Uh-huh.
Russell Brand, and they're British comedians, and people are funny, and they travel all over the world
Hmm.
and perform in anything from a comedy club to an arena, and they should have the freedom to do what they want to do, say what they want to say. Well, now in comedy clubs in Great Britain, there's censorship basically. There's a
Okay.
couple of things going on that we don't have in the United States. For
Hmm.
one thing, they give the comedians a list and they say, you can't talk about religion, politics, sexuality, weight, skin color, height,
Oh.
age, and there's a long list of, any jokes that you make. You
Hmm.
don't even have to say names. It doesn't even have to be about somebody that people know.
Hmm.
There's just a do not fly list of taboo
Okay.
because of how they are over there, more amplified version of not wanting to offend people.
Gotcha. Okay. And
And
who
and it's
created that
comedy.
list? Who created that? Where'd that come from? Like,
I don't think it came from the government, but I think in the entertainment business of Great Britain, and to be more specific with it, the talk shows, the news, the television networks,
hmm
as well as the comedy clubs, they work together
Okay.
very much. Like a lot of them own the same stuff. They'll some of the people that own 3 or 4 comedy clubs also own a network.
Okay.
So it's almost like a union or a connected community of people, and they have this creed of these rules that they came up with. And the people that are running entertainment in Britain,
Gotcha.
all right,
Okay. So,
that and then also the people that sit in the audience, they give them a button to wear. And the button is to send a signal to the comedian. Like red means don't talk to me. If I'm sitting in the audience, in the 5th row or the 10th row, you can't call me out. You you can't say anything to me because you might end up talking about how I'm dressed or how I look or my race. So this is like a just a signal. It's a button, and I don't remember the color, but it's just the color of the symbol, so they can see from a distance. And
okay.
just as an example, just for all intents purposes, like a red button would mean don't talk to me. Green means you can engage me, you can make me a part of the act, you can bring me on stage, you can talk to me.
Okay. Wow.
When you walk in, when you buy your ticket at the door, you get your button, and we're gonna like on a flight when you get on a plane and the attendants are saying, okay, so you take your flotation device and use it this way and you bring it over like this and this is what you do, and you know go to these exits and you have to help people, like there's an instruction before the show begins.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. My question is, so why even go? I mean, comedians are supposed to be, I mean, comedians are artists. Yeah. I mean, they're not causing any harm or anything like that. So why stifle them?
Yeah.
It's like you can't talk about X, Y, Z politics, but what's left? Then why even bother? Why do comedy over there? Why be in
Right,
a
that's
comedy
that's
club over there if you can't do what you want to do and talk about what you want to talk about?
that's kind of like saying no comedy.
Yeah, it is.
don't,
It
don't say
really
anything
is.
that's funny.
Okay. So, in other words, we're just going to sit here and look at each other. Except the comedian is going to be on the stage looking at the people in the audience and they're just going to look back at each other. I mean, what is the point? you know?
Or,
I
like
mean,
jokes have to be
gosh.
so dry and corny, I guess. Or you talk about two guys walking to a bar, or let me tell you about my mother-in-law, and just, everything's so sterile.
It is. In dry. And it's like, and why censor? Why censor?
That's what it
Talk about
is.
the things that,
That's what it is, censoring freedom of speech.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. And one of the purest forms of speech.
Yes, yes. And if you can't laugh about some things, then you don't talk about them. And if you don't talk about them, you don't get it out. So you don't know kind of where people's heads at, how people are feeling about it. I mean, and some things deserve to be mocked.
But it's a different world in a comedy club or in that venue or on stage, where you should have more freedom and more rules
That's what I
to
say.
get away
Hmm.
with more stuff,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. You're
That's one of the
shutting
things
down
about being an actor, is the freedom to do stuff on film that you would never be able to get away with
in real
in
life.
real life. And that's me having acted, like I've experienced that liberation,
Hmm.
but it's entertainment. So people shouldn't treat it like they're out in public,
Yeah,
and people should be able to laugh at themselves.
absolutely. Absolutely. Comedy club is not a safe space. You know,
Yeah, let me
they're
let, let
not
me tell
safe.
y'all, let me tell people, like, if you want to see comedy that really talks about people and makes fun of folks, and there's no holds barred on race or anything, go to Kill Tony. Watch one of those sessions where comedians come up and they get 1 minute to say whatever they want to say, and then Tony Hinchcliffe and 3 or 4 other guys on a panel, Red Band, and these other people, they talk about each other. But Hinchcliffe loves people.
Hmm.
And they talk about him. And it's, sometimes it's nasty, but it's not personal.
Hmm.
Like there needs to be an agreement before they come in and do that. That we're not gonna, I mean, really, like, I'm not gonna say offensive stuff, but personal stuff, talking about people, and then everybody laughs because it should just be looked at as like a camaraderie between comedians.
Right.
And people are being cheated in the
Yeah.
comedy clubs.
Yeah.
They're not getting the comedy that they could get if, like you said, they have free reign.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. See where that goes. See where that goes.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully not across the Atlantic Ocean to us.
Oh, right. Hopefully it
Don't
doesn't
bring
make it
that
over
here.
here. Good
Don't
luck with
bring it
that.
here.
Right.
Speak about be from a recent Bill Maher show, films in Hollywood in America, and listen to what he says. This is great.
You know, the old cliche has always been that if Martians attacked, it would be the one thing that brings the whole world together. Now, I don't think it would even bring Americans together. The Martians could blow up the White House like in Independence Day, and half the country would be cheering in the streets. When they said, "Take us to your leader," we would start killing each other over who that is. Giant robotic tripods could be vaporizing New Jersey, and Republicans would say, "This is what happens in Biden's America." It never happened when Trump was in office. And Democrats would point out how the death lasers were disproportionately affecting low-income communities and people of color. And AOC would tweet, "Stop demonizing the Martian X community." Alex Jones would call it a false flag operation and accuse the people whose heads were melted off of being crisis actors. Marjorie Taylor Greene would criticize the Jews for not using their space lasers on the Martians. And Lindsey Graham would volunteer for the anal probe.
Yeah, yeah. So I just I like what he was saying, and how tribal or political people are,
Yeah.
and we are humans. We are brothers and sisters on this land, and beware and be wary of the people that divide, create racial divisiveness,
Hmm.
a lie, a
Yeah.
lie to create racial divisiveness.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. The sad part is everything has become political when everything
Yeah.
is not political. That's what has been done. Yeah, everything, things that are not political and should not be political have become political. So
Yep.
it's not, yeah, just kind of let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah.
I was listening today, prior to us coming on here. NASA, they had DART mission, I think it's double asteroid redirection test. And what
Mm.
it did is they sent I think it's a robotic spaceship out to an asteroid to divert it off course. This is the first time this has ever been done. It's been in the making since 2015. It's taken 10 months for the spaceship to get out to this asteroid that I think is, I don't know if it's maybe 7 million miles from Earth, but it's taken that long to get there. And this is a worldwide thing. So I'm like, wow, what an accomplishment. This is the first time we've ever been able to, or any, in human history, ever been able to send something man made like that to an asteroid,
Mhm.
have it land on the asteroid, and be able to divert it off its orbit somehow.
Did
So
it work?
it did. It landed, and then they said in the coming days and weeks they're gonna be able to update everyone on how far off track the asteroid is as a result of the landing. But the landing happened live at 7:14. Happened live. They showed it on YouTube, obviously NASA TV, YouTube, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the thing where everybody can come together. That has nothing to do with politics,
Right.
nothing at all. It's just a great human accomplishment
Right.
by really smart people. I mean, so it's like everything is not politics at all, and everything should not be. So I think we're kind of in the phase now where um, things have become political, and sometimes it's good to step away from all of that, get into something else, do a hobby, do something else, get outside of politics to know that there is a world going on.
Yeah, people need Jesus.
They
And
do.
when people have Jesus, they don't let politics or anything else stop them from loving. When Jesus is the Lord of your life, that means there is no exceptions, there is no asterisk next to what he said about how we're supposed to treat each other.
Exactly.
And that's number one. And then everything else is secondary.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. Cool.
Just wanted to ask people, hey, give financial support, send donations. We're not too humble to receive it. You can send through PayPal. We have email address, brutehonest@gmail.com. Comment on our YouTube videos, and also we can be found aside from YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Brutally Honest Talk Radio. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. And don't forget to hit the follow and notification buttons on YouTube so you'll be notified when a new episode is uploaded. Also, don't forget we are wherever you are. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all the places where you are on social media. We are there as well. So with that, we hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Take care, everybody. We'll catch you later. Bye now.